First item on the agenda is to accept or modify the agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the agenda as presented to us.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Community participation. Community participation is a time intended for the public to give input on relevant school issues and not intended to be a question and answer period, as this may be the first time the board has heard this information. Please do not expect individual responses or any comment by the board at this time, but be assured that any concerns will be reviewed. Please print your name on the sheet at the podium, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the board?
Looks like I don't have to read fast, which is probably not one of my better things in school.
I might have to take an update on a speed reading course.
Do you need the address on here too?
Get your name in it. Name and address, yes, please.
On here?
Yes.
My name is James Harper. My address is 3658 Rockland Road. Ms. Chairwoman and school board members, I appreciate the opportunity to address my fellow citizens who make up our school board in Warren County. In the next few minutes, I'll relay my concerns and things I'd like to see implemented in our school system. I know being on the school board is not about all the money you receive, but about the desire to make our schools the best in Virginia, and I thank you. First, Mr. Drescher, I'm sure you're very talented. However, I do not understand how you had time to be on the EDA board with 2 failing schools. This is your first time as a superintendent, and I would have thought maybe your time should have been spent helping the failing schools reach a standard of excellence. Did anyone on the school board say anything to you about your desire to be on the EDA board? Next is a question for Ms. Bauer and the board. Mr. Drescher was under contract from July 1st, 2015 through June 30, 2019 at a salary of $154,000. Why give him a contract at a higher salary, $165,837, when he was already under contract? I've been in sales for many years and been under contract. If I'd gone into my superiors and said, how about a raise during the middle of my contract, I would have been laughed out of the building. Did Mr. Drescher really deserve a raise because our schools went from 2 failing schools to 1? You have teachers leaving the county because they do not make enough money, and Mr. Drescher gets a $12,000 raise. This is not a wealthy county, yet you're spending money like a wealthy county. His total compensation seems to be close to $180,000. Where does this rank compare to our neighboring counties? Understand that someone authorized a new roof for Rusty Jeffries and gave the contractor a $1 million bonus to do the work at night. And this does not count the actual cost of the roof. Please tell me my information is wrong. If this is correct, why couldn't you wait a couple months until the school was out and saved $1 million? I've read your goals, and maybe someone needs to review the master plan for maintenance. I was not a good student, and I wasted my mother's money going to college. College is great for some, but I would have been better off going into the military to grow up. When I read your mission statement and goals, it seemed to me that you focused on higher education. My guess is that's fine for 50% of your students, but others maybe needed a different type of education. I'd really like to see a larger expanded technical school in Warren County, teaching young people to be electricians, plumbers, HVAC techs, and so forth. I recently read in the newspaper about Lord Fairfax having a simulator for heavy equipment. It'd be nice to have one in our technical school. If I remember correctly, they start out at about $45,000 once they graduate. That's great for an 18 or 19-year-old child. I'd also like to see an ethics class being mandatory to graduate. Growing up, I don't remember my parents ever cussing, and I try not to ever use those words because I believe they're better adjectives. I'm not saying I never say one, but it's very rare. An ethics class can cover many things, like being a better classmate, to being honorable in business and finding better adjectives. In closing, in your long-range plan review committee made it's time to replace Jennifer McDonald. Thank you for listening. I hope you will spend the county's money wisely, like it's coming out of your own wallet. Thank you.
Is there anyone else to address the board? Consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, make a motion to accept the consent agenda as distributed.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Reports. Superintendent report. Mr. Drescher.
All right, thank you. I would draw your attention to the agenda. Underneath the agenda, under public content, I did put a list of things I'd like to take a look at. We had just kind of review the 2018-19 year. Was a very busy year. It was a very good year. We did lots of many good things for our students, which in turn did many good things for our community. And I just highlighted a few of those among the probably close to 100 items over the course of the year that you guys took action on. The compensation benefit study had a huge impact on what we were able to do in retaining teachers, which I'll comment on in a minute. Last summer, we started our summer enrichment program, which has continued this year for students that are not ready to move on to the next grade at some of our schools. We were able to continue that with some grant funding that we were able to get. We started a social emotional support for many of our students that have experienced trauma, and we're finding more and more that that is a huge issue for many of our students coming to school, where we expect them to learn and pay attention to what's going on, but so many things are happening in their lives that if we don't take care of the trauma part, we can't help them learn. And I'm proud to say that we started that this past year. I always like to highlight what we started a few years ago. In December, we called for nominations for the Roy K. Boyles Wall of Recognition. I'm very proud that the board chose to do that, and makes a difference of recognizing people that have supported our schools. In February, we heard from the big program, Boys and the Gentlemen, that was started at E. Wilson Morrison, another opportunity to help some of our students that may not get opportunities to learn what it's like to behave in social settings. Very successful. It's going to continue next year, and we're looking at ways we can expand it. We presented the compensation and benefit study in February, which ended up being a huge help to our retaining teachers this year. March, we heard from the musical program at Warren County High School, which was great. We started talking about the renovation plans at AS Roads. We're still working on that, doing those things. In May, we heard from a number of students. I'm able to do this because, and you'll remember that we had a host of students here talking about their experiences in high school, a wide range of experiences in high school, and the benefits that they were able to do. We had a budget that was passed, made a huge difference us retaining our teachers. And for one of the rare years, we actually saw a reduction in health, dental, and vision insurance rates. So we were able to pass that on to our staff as well. So our goal, just to remind us, is came to you 5 years ago with a concern about the rank or the rate at which staff, especially teachers, were leaving. And the mantra that we heard over and over again was salary. There's other reasons too. I mean, that's the reality of running any kind of business. But the main reason was salary. So our goal is to retain more staff. We know any good business does not retain 100% of its staff all the time, but they don't lose the level that we were losing. Last year, as an example, we were over 60 for the last 6 years, and it continued to rise. Last year we had 72. That was our peak. This year we're at 59. So our goal is to get in the 40s. So we're halfway there with 1 year of making a difference in our salary, which we were able to do for teachers 11 through 25. So I'm very, very proud that has happened. It's going to make a difference for our students because more teachers are going to stay and gain those experiences and help our students learn. It was a successful school year. Looking at our in-house ciphering of test scores, we will not get official test scores until September. That's just the way it happens, so I can't tell you for sure. But what I think you're going to see is that our schools have done very well. I know a couple of areas at schools where we did have concerns have gone up they will be at the accredited status, so I'm very pleased to say that. And that's just a testament not only to our staff, who work very hard, but it's to the partnership that we enjoy with our families. And that's a huge difference. And also, and mostly to the efforts of our kids. They do a wonderful job. And we have so many good staff that help them. We just need to keep more of them here. And I'm just to say that we are halfway there with 1 year of making a difference in the salaries. That's a pretty big deal. So I'm happy to share that. So thank you.
Great, thank you. School board reports. Mr. Williams?
Madam Chair, not a lot, but as Mr. Drescher was speaking about test scores, you know, I get to go to one of our schools, AS Road, and watch the presentations for 5th grade and 4th grade and all that. And to watch these little children take those SOLs and get perfect scores, I mean, to me, that's amazing. And they're so proud of themselves and all the other little things that they do, and the teachers are proud of them, and that's every school. I mean, you look at our school system, how it's grown since some of us were in school up here. I mean, it's tremendous the things that have happened and continue to happen. You know, the pay increases for the teachers, it's great. I love it. Simply because if we can pay them a decent salary to live in our community, guess what they'll do? They'll spend money in our community, they'll take care of our children, and everybody prospers. So it's just money. I know that's easy to say, and spend it wisely, but we have to do what we have to do to take care of the people that work with us, for us, however you want to put it. I had the opportunity, Mr. Lewis said today, to speak to him about some of the stuff that we're going to talk about later, and we'll cover that. But, you know, he stepped in when Mr. Riley retired, and it's like we haven't missed a beat, and there's a lot more things happening now. The guy is on point, and that's what we need. I mean, and that's what we have. So I say we finished last year, let's see what we got this year, and just keep moving forward. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being able to work with you. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Rosen?
Well, it was a great school year. There were many things that were accomplished. There's a few that fell over and take on to the next year. I was in business for 30-some years, and I know how tough it is when you're fighting dollars that aren't making it and when you're losing employees. The one thing I can say is with our compensation fund or study, we did the right thing for that, and we're going to have, we'll pay off, and we all know that. So I'm very pleased to thank executive management, management groups, teachers, everybody that runs this system and runs it as smoothly and as well transparent with everything that's going on. And that's what makes the school system work. It's the people. And they're doing it. So I thank them for it.
Thank you. Mrs. McKeithen? No report this evening. Mr. Wells?
Nothing more than to echo what Mr. Rosen and what Mr. Williams has said. I've been here a few years longer than most of you, and this was as successful a school year academically as I have seen. This wasn't a knock it out of the park year. We didn't open a new school, or we didn't have any new facilities or anything like that. But we did work, and we got Ressie Jeffries taken care of. We've got AS Roads on our radar to bring that up to date. Down the road, we'll have LFK to bring up to date, and I think we'll do it. And as I've said, throughout the budget process, throughout the compensation study, we understand where the money comes from. It doesn't fall out of the sky. It doesn't come off a tree. It comes from our citizens, and we try to be as good a steward of that money as we possibly can. And the funding is one of the things that we wrestle with all the time. But the good things are, like Mr. Rosen says, what our staff, what our students, what our parents and families and our citizens here in Front Royal give us to work with, and we appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't have a report, but I do want to remind everyone that we do not have a work session later this month. So, don't show up on the third Wednesday of this month.
Well, if Greg drinks chocolate banana splits or something,
You can come if you want.
Help yourself.
You'll
Action
know.
agenda. Action agenda. Appointment of purchasing agent for 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Drescher.
School board policy, file DJA purchasing authority, allows the superintendent with the school board's formal approval to designate a qualified employee to serve as the purchasing agent for the board. In this capacity, the agent for the board may purchase or contract for supplies, materials, equipment, contractual services required by the school division, subject to federal and state laws and regulations and school board policies. All purchases must be made by the school division will be in accordance with the Virginia Public Procurement Act. And the purchasing agent is authorized to approve only those purchases for which there are available and appropriate funds. No purchase order is to be approved that exceeds the funds available for the budget line for which it is being charged. And my suggestion is that Mr. Valentine is our purchasing agent. And basically what that means is he does approvals on purchase orders that happen every single day. You know, it's an ongoing process. We have a very tight purchasing process that we follow. You get every single purchase that we made in the clerk's report each time. So you see what we do, and with Mr. Valentine at the lead there, I'm very confident that it's being done to the best of our ability.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
I have none. We get the report that shows what was spent. So.
Someone like to offer a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that the Director of Finance, Clerk of the School Board, Robert Valentine, be designated as the school board's purchasing agent for the 2019-2020 school year.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of May 2019 VSBA school board policies update. Mrs. Shepherd.
Good evening. In May 2019, VSBA submitted 59 policies for consideration by the Warren County School Board. A chart showing all the updated policies has been prepared by staff members noting the changes. An additional 9 policies are presented for review but have no recommended revisions. The first reading of the proposed changes was June 5th. There was an opportunity to discuss the changes at the June 19th work session, and final approval is requested for tonight. And I watched the video of your work session because I was in class, and I know there was a question on the motorized partitions, and we have motorized partitions at Skyline High School in the gymnasium and the auditorium. And it's a 2-key system where both keys have to be used in order for the partition to close. And we have one at Warren County High School in the auditorium where it requires 2 keys in order for the partition to close. What we're going to have to do in order to meet compliance with this policy is make sure that the room is empty before the 2 people who close the partition are able to close the partition. So, so we do have a couple of motorized partitions.
Where do they keep those keys? Is that something that's kept in the office or?
Yeah, so the athletic directors keep the keys for the gym at Skyline High School, and then the others are kept in the office, yes.
So they're not easily,
No, they're not easily accessible, no. They're not sitting in the locks, yes.
Okay, great.
Are there any other questions? I'll be happy to try to answer.
Well, I think most of us asked earlier or cleared up any concerns we had.
I would just ask that maybe the first part of the year that be sent out to all our personnel as a point of emphasis, because sometimes where it gets missed is, play practice, for example. I'm not pointing at anybody, but play practice or band practice or something like that where there's not a lot of personnel around, or there's maybe not custodians around to assist with that.
Absolutely, we'll make sure that everybody's aware of that policy, especially the people who use those spaces more regularly.
This is something that only staff is allowed to do, right?
Yes,
They can't say,
yes.
get 2 students on either end of.
No, that's correct, staff.
Okay.
Yeah. And DOE is supposed to be issuing some guidance as well. We haven't received that yet, but we're going to go ahead and put the practice into place, so.
Great.
I move the May 2019 VSBA policy updates be approved for inclusion in Warren County Public Schools Policy Manual as recommended by staff.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. Additional appropriation request, Mr. Valentine.
Well, first of all, Happy New Year on this 3rd day of our new year. And it was only about 2 months ago that you approved our operating budget for this new year that we're beginning. And since then, there have been 2 grants awarded to us, to Warren County Public Schools, that were not included in that original budget. We didn't have the money at that point, so it was not included in our initial budget request to the Board of Supervisors. The first is a grant called the School Improvement Grant for Skyline Middle School, and it's in the amount of $30,056. The second is a grant that I think you approved at one of your recent meetings, maybe the first meeting in June, and it is the Department of Criminal Justice, and it's for the School-Based Victim Services, or as the abbreviation is, VOCA grant, and that totals $145,292. The good thing about both of these grants is that neither of them require a local cash match. So what that means is we don't have to take money from anywhere else in the budget to meet the requirements to be able to receive these grants, nor do we have to go to the Board of Supervisors and ask for additional local funding to be able to receive these. The VOCA grant does talk about a $50,683 match, but that I have been assured can be taken care of through existing in-kind expenditures, things that we're already doing, providing facilities and space and things like that, some things we're already doing to meet that. But in order to receive and spend this unbudgeted revenue, an additional appropriation must be received from the Warren County Board of Supervisors. So the school board is, or your approval rather, is being sought for the superintendent to go ahead and request from the Board of Supervisors that we be allowed to not only receive this additional money, but also to be able to spend it, as it'll increase the amount of our total budget. But again, the good thing is no additional local money is required to be able to receive and get the benefit from this funding.
I'm having a hard time understanding that.
Okay.
Well, it's saying no additional cash match. Okay, I got that. But then we're having to ask for an additional appropriation.
Right, because To be able to receive and spend money, it has to be appropriated by the Board of Supervisors, regardless of the source of it. So if it's federal money, state money, or local appropriation money, or just miscellaneous revenue that might come in from another source here in the community or something, we have to have that appropriated to us so we can legally, say we meaning the school board, the school system can legally spend that money.
Okay, I got it now.
Yeah.
Just a little slow. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Madam Chair, I move that the superintendent be authorized to request that the Warren County School Board of Warren County Board of Supervisors increase the school board's fiscal year 2019-2020 operating fund budget by $175,328.
Is there a second? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Technology purchases over $15,000. Mr. Grant.
Good evening. The Technology Department at Warren County Public Schools will continue to provide Chromebooks for the middle school and high school students for the 2019-2020 school year. And this year we'll also add additional Chromebooks for elementary school classrooms. We are also purchasing parts for current and future Chromebook repairs. Included in these purchases are the Chromebooks, the parts, and then the software licensing. All the products have been quoted from at least 3 separate sources, or on a state cooperative contract, or sole source. The total cost for these items altogether is $181,007. The purchases will be funded through the Virginia Public School Authority Technology Grant, and the funds included also within our technology budget. Do you have any questions?
Where will this put us as far as getting?
1-to-1 all the way across. 1-to-1 in grades 6 through 12. And then we'll probably be about 2-to-1, maybe a little bit more than 2-to-1. Different schools are at different levels. We do have one school that has 1-to-1 at 5th grade right now, so we'll be adding additional carts to each school to help them with that. And they're able to choose depending on how the teachers are doing with the 1-to-1 program, as far as knowing how to teach with the Chromebooks and that type of stuff. We're leaving that up to the instructional technology coach as well as the principal.
And what are you seeing as far as repairs go?
About right now is about 7% this year.
And
So,
is there a common theme there as far as what's going on?
Yeah, it's the ones that go home. You have accidents, those kinds of things. We did have a lot of problems this year with Dell Chromebooks. The batteries were going bad, and there wasn't anything anybody was doing to do that. So we have gone away from Dell. We're using Lenovo this year. We've tried them out. They're very similar as far as durability works. They're really neat devices. Actually, you put a pin in it and shut the lid, and the top will bend, keeping the screen from breaking. So, but they're providing for other schools in or around us. Frederick County, I know, has purchased Lenovo. I believe Rockingham as well. And they've had good success with it. So we're going to try them out this year and see how well it goes.
So the batteries aren't warranted or anything?
They were 1 year out of warranty when they started going. So, if they were within the warranty, we would have been able to rescue those.
How many students take these home?
All grades 6 through 12. So that's 3,000, something like that. About 3,000. 2,000.
Remind me again about the hotspot devices. Do we use those a good deal?
We don't. We do have that ability. We can We have actually one student in the special ed program that is using that for his, what is it called?
It's an insulin pump.
Insulin pump. And so that's where we're using that. But there are several companies that are offering educational pricing for hotspots, but that also depends on, you're still depending on what your cell service is. For example, Browntown, there's not a whole lot of cell service down there, so you're not going to get it unless you have internet. But that's basically what it's built on that. So it is affordable. We are looking at doing it. We're just trying to determine how many we need and that kind of thing.
So is connectivity an issue?
Not too bad. Probably about maybe 10%. We have a lot of, like the public library, and we have a lot of public open Wi-Fi hot spots around Front Royal that kids are coming into if they don't have. We haven't gotten a whole lot of complaints from people that don't have any connectivity at all. You can also save locally to your Chromebook, so put your homework when you're there, you have internet, you go home, do your homework, bring it back, and then it loads up to the internet. So.
I just want to circle back with Mr. Grant. You said it's about 7% failure, so a couple hundred Chromebooks, give or take. I mean, we're
I
3,000.
purchased 10% extra, so we're still above that.
Yeah, I knew you had it built in.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. Simple fixes or?
Most of them it happens in-house.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing we don't do in-house is when it's a warranty, we just send it out because then we don't have to fix it.
That's what that warranty's for. Madam Chair, I move that approval be given to purchase Lenovo Chromebooks, Google Management licenses, and Microsoft software in the amount not to exceed $181,007.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Skyline High School tennis court repairs contract, Mr. Livesey.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. I have, I think, a few items for your consideration and approval this evening, and we'll start off with the tennis court repairs for both Skyline High School and Warren County High School. As you see in the information item, both schools have experienced significant cracking failure, I've called, throughout a large majority of the courts. Skyline High School specifically has about over 1,700 linear feet of crack repair that needs to be given attention. That affects, I believe, 6 of the 8 tennis courts over there. No, I'm sorry, that's Warren County. But leaving some of them, I'll say, virtually unsafe for play, and in fact, I do know that the schools, when it comes to competition play, is unable to use all the courts, so it does prolong their tennis events when they hold them. We did reach out to ATC Corporation, who's formerly known as American Tennis Courts. They have been in the business for over 50 years, and through a cooperative agreement, they have priced out the necessary repairs for us. The 1,700 feet for Skyline High School, as you see, is pretty significant dollars. But again, that's pretty significant cracking that we have over there in the amount of $32,974.75. I know some of you most likely have concerns about this amount of money being spent on these courts, considering what was spent just 2 years ago on these tennis courts. I believe that number, and I haven't seen the actual file, is somewhere around $100,000 2 years ago. And again, this amount of money be going, that would go into them again. I can't say that future cracking won't occur in these courts. It's the nature of tennis courts, and especially considering Skyline High School, its location, and built on the side of on the hill there. I'm not sure of any geotechnical studies that were done prior to the installation of these courts up there. But there is evidently a lot of movement, just looking at the size of the cracks, the width of the cracking that is taking place. Again, these courts in the near future, 12 to 15 years is about the average lifespan for tennis courts, but during that lifespan you have to make repairs. I can't say that these repairs today are going to be the end all until we resurface or replace. But I have had discussions with ATC Corporation about what we could do with our in-house folks. And by that, it's really more of a inspection, monitoring of these tennis courts, especially right after the winter season. Because that's where, one, we see a lot of contraction, expansion, and precipitation amounts, and they could really have huge impact. But what repairs we could do possibly in-house. Much like sealing a driveway, the sooner we identify the crack, even if it's small fissure cracking, and we get it sealed up or filled and then coated, I think we could help delay further extensive repairs to these tennis courts. Again, I can't stand here and tell you they won't require any more repair until the day they need to be resurfaced, but.
Yeah, I just have a concern about this. I mean, when were they built? Or
Was it 2007?
2007.
Yeah, the high schools opened up,
And
and
so
for a number of years, there were no
no
repairs.
problems until
Yeah.
2017, and then we spent this
So you
money
did
on
very
it, now
well.
we're having to do it again.
Yeah. So evidently it's been excessive
So-
movement up there. You know,
So do we need to check something out before we spend this money on doing it again, and then in 2 years have to do it again?
Geotech study could be done in and about the court and in probably a couple locations under the courts themselves just to see if anything has substantially changed, but I can't stand here and say how far we need to core down to get those core samples.
And how involved is that? How involved is doing that study? It's pretty detailed.
It can get pretty intense. I have done it in the past, you know, for various studies. I can't imagine we would need to go deeper than 20 feet if we wanted to pull what I'll call core samples.
Is that expensive?
It can be, yes.
Is this the company that's given us this quote, is this the same company that did the repair work too?
It is not. It is not.
And there's no guarantee for any of the work that's
I
done?
could not find any files that state any warranties associated with the repairs 2 years ago.
What about with this company?
This company, there will be, through the cooperative purchasing agreement, there is a warranty not only on the product but the workmanship. I'm trying to confirm, I know it's no less than 3 years on the products they use. It's actually a system known as right way crack repair, I believe it is. But I think no less than 3 years on the product, and ATC Corporation, I believe, is 2 years. Now, please understand that that warranty only affects the repaired areas, i.e., one of the reasons you all got pretty extensive photos as part of this is when those repairs are completed, additional photos will be taken, and in the file, because if that cracking should come back again, that is what we go back to ATC Corporation with. This is a documented file for, you know, these repairs.
I just wonder, is about 2022 would be the 15 years up, I guess, give or take, somewhere in there. That's kind of the life cycle of it. The crack, some of them that we've seen, the pictures you sent, and I mean, literally it would swallow a tennis ball. I mean, it would go, you know, done. So something has definitely moved to create, and there's caverns out there on 340, and everybody knows. So I don't know what split, and I hate to buy something that's going to fix this crack, and then because I know what they do, and that will last. But it'll crack somewhere beside it. I don't
Crack
know.
somewhere beside it, right off the end when we stop the repair.
Yep, exactly. So I just wonder what's happened to that sub base underneath of there. You know,
Is this something
is
that
it
we can
deteriorated?
get some more information on and hold off for?
We could get
a few months?
Yeah, Mr. Livesey could.
Oh, yes, we can certainly do that. We can pursue getting geotech studies done, and I'm familiar with some firms I used over in Fauquier County that have done a lot of that type of work. And actually did geotech studies for me when we replaced the tennis courts at Kettle Run High School, which were only 8 years old and had to be totally replaced.
Would the company that's doing this, would they be able to give us a recommendation, perhaps, on Do we need to do a geotech? Is this normal?
Yes, I
just wonder if that would be helpful.
they can.
They're the ones that do this every day.
50 years in business, this is what they do. And again, it's significant cracking up there, so something's moved a lot in 2 years up there to see the cracks, especially the widths and the lengths that you're seeing them.
So, in the meantime, I know these tennis courts are used a lot
By
by
the
the community
community.
too. Is there a liability issue with leaving them as they are and having the community members using it?
You know what, honestly, I can't say if we would be legally responsible for that. We would certainly be held if we did not close off those courts.
We removed the nets, correct, on the damaged ones, so they couldn't be played on.
I'm assuming we have, I don't know.
Well, they're
And
not
if
in
you
the
want to,
pictures.
I mean, there was some missing in some of the
Yeah.
pictures,
Yeah.
but I don't know if that's every one of them. I'd recommend, and I think Ms. Bauer would agree, to remove the nets of any of the damaged courts.
That doesn't prevent people from getting on there and
Doesn't
playing.
prevent it, but we could lock them down. I mean,
Yeah.
until we can get a resolve to it. Remove the nets and lock them.
It'd be interesting to know also if other school districts are having problems with tennis courts.
They do.
They all do.
They all do. It's, again, it's the nature of the beast with tennis courts. What ATC Corporation did tell me is they are seeing and have petitioned for a change in the design of tennis courts to the American Tennis Court Association and a few others, because the current design specs or methods aren't sufficient. What they're seeing this virtually everywhere. So what they're recommending nowadays is that the sub-base that the asphalt is placed on increases from 6 inches to no less than 9 to 10 inches. And then the thickness of the asphalt has also been increased.
Kind of makes me wonder, Mr. Whitty, out Midwest, because of the movement, they would have, and I don't know the right word for it, but the slab that was poured for houses would have steel running through, and it's like a floating slab.
Exactly.
So the way it was tied together, it wouldn't crack, and I kind of wonder, I mean.
I can't say I've heard of that design, for tennis courts.
But
It's something we can certainly look into, and I do understand the board's concern with the expenditures and what it's going to take to maintain these courts going forward.
I would like to get a little more information.
I say we table it. and
Okay.
On most schools for
On
right
both
now,
schools.
that would be my
It's
recommendation.
for Warren County and Skyline.
For both schools, I would say, for now, till we can get further information.
Yeah, even though Warren County's linear feet of required repairs is less, than it's about 500 square feet less, I believe, but the cracks there are pretty sufficient. Now, I will say most of Warren counties aren't immediately in the court, within the boundaries of the court itself. There are some that are within, the play of the court, but there are others that, a lot of Warren counties run right down between the two net posts. And I can't figure that one out, because that's typically, when you see it breaking up around the post, the nets won't remove, or the tension wasn't relieved, and over the winter months, what happens? It just pulls them in and pulls the asphalt up with it. But it's unusual to see them crack from post to post, so I'm not quite sure what might be happening in Warren County. But it's still significant cracking over there.
Yeah, it's 450 linear feet less, is all, so not much.
So,
All right.
Would you need a motion?
I guess we need a motion to table these.
All right, I'll see what I can do with it. Madam Chair, I move that we table the repairs for Skyline High School and Warren County High School tennis courts until further investigation of possibilities of remedies.
Do you want to set a time frame on that rather than just leaving it loose? Say within the next 30 days?
Well, I'm sure we could have it by
I'm
our
sure
next
that's
meeting.
doable,
That work?
August 7th.
August
7th or next meeting.
You okay with amend your motion?
Yes, amend the motion to have replies by August 7th, our next meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
A.S. Rhodes Elementary School,
A.S.
Shayla.
Road Elementary School roof replacement. finally underway. Hope to be underway. As you know, we did have this included in the original invitation for bid when we went out for the total renovations. Of course, we all know the outcome of that. So we have decided to pull back and manage the roof replacement in-house. We did reach out to 4 roofing contractors, and I was very pleased that I got 4 responses back in such a timely fashion. Vertex Roofing was the low bidder for the contract. Their lump sum pricing, you have it on the bid tabulation sheet of just over, I believe, $43,000. All of the vendors were provided with the plans and specifications as developed by OWPR, who designed the remainder of the renovations at the school. You did see on the bid tab sheet, most did not bid the gutter work, the replacement of the gutter situation over there. We have even talked about taking that out of the scope. The existing guttering system on that building is not in that bad a shape, although we have 2 different sizes and type. The front of the building is a white, basically 4-inch, I'll say residential, in very good condition. The back of the building is 5 to 6 inch brown or an anodized bronze, again, in very good condition. The only change the architect was making was, in addition to replacing the gutters, was adding 2 downspouts on the rear of the building. And I'm not quite sure why, because it looks like it has sufficient downspouts now. But the point being, a lot of roofing contractors do not do guttering replacement. So that was not going to be the basis for bid award if they did not bid the guttering replacement.
So if we stick with the original or the current guttering, you could still add the downspout to that.
Exactly, if need be. Again, it's just a color difference between the front and the rear of the building.
Don't see them both at the same time.
That's kind of what I thought, but
What matters?
yeah.
Unless it's an aerial view.
So,
Yeah, probably.
again, I do know this firm used them on multiple occasions in Fauquier County, and they were just recently awarded 2 other roof replacements in Fauquier County. So they are very responsive. I've always been on time and within budget. So
How old are the current shingles? We've talked about that before.
honestly, I can't say, but I think you're 30 years plus.
They were,
Past
They're-
their life expectancy.
yeah, they should have been replaced several years ago.
Probably 20.
It's been on our
Because,
list. It's been on our list for quite a few.
Yeah, it's been on, I know it's been on the list.
And that, as we spoke earlier, Mr. Livesey, that was tear off, 30-year architecturals going back on.
50-year architecture.
50-year architecturals.
Yes.
Price is even getting better.
Yeah. So, and that's the architect had spec a 50-year warranty. Anyway,
About 160 hours.
I have not spoken to the vendor yet as far as when he could start. I would imagine within 15 days for a shingle roof. It's not as if there's a long lead time like there is for roofing membrane. So
You ready about the time kids come back?
that would be my hope.
Yes, yeah. We got 30 minutes.
Yeah, we still have 30 plus days.
Yeah.
OWPR is fine with any other renovations that would be done
By us.
shouldn't affect the roof.
No, no.
have to
The
put
section of
something
roof
on
we
it.
have delayed and will not do is the slope of the membrane roof there because of the new HVAC system that is going to the building. We did not want to replace that membrane at this time and then come right back and make holes in a brand new roof with brand new equipment. So that membrane section will be accomplished when the remainder of the renovations take place.
Madam Chair, I move that approval be given to award a contract to Vertex Roofing Incorporated in the amount of $43,875 to replace a shingle roof at A.S. Rhodes Elementary School.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Stay where you are, A.S. Rhodes Elementary School asbestos abatement.
Last one. Okay. As you know, we are preparing to perform the asbestos abatement at A.S. Rhodes Elementary. The current scope of work under the contract with the vendor Apex Incorporated includes the abatement of asbestos-containing materials in the crawl space of the building and inside the interior of the building. The crawl space, and just to recap, is a removal for approximately 650 feet of pipe insulation in the crawl space, and the abatement for the interior of the building is the abatement of flooring materials, vinyl asbestos tile and mastic. Okay. Big portion of the vinyl asbestos tile, the major portion, of course, is the hallways, and then some smaller sections in 9 of the classrooms there, and that's what was included in the current scope. And the combination of the classrooms is a combination of exposed asbestos tile, and the remainder, the majority of the classroom, is covered with carpet. Okay. The current asbestos management plan that was developed by Winchester Environmental Consultants for us back in 2010 did not identify the material underneath the carpet as suspected asbestos-containing materials, nor was any sampling ever conducted to see what was underneath the carpet. As we were doing the internal move to prepare for the abatement, emptying the classrooms out, we got curious. We needed to see what was underneath of it. Unfortunately, we did find some 9x9 tile and the black mastic, so to speak, that is associated with the old asbestos-containing materials. Again, this material has not been sampled. We will need to test and have this lab analysis done to determine if there is any ACM in the tile and the mastic. Some rooms, it's a guarantee. I can tell you right now. Some of the other rooms had carpet over top. The tile had been gone, but we could see the black mastic under the new mastic. So we want to get this sampled so we know for sure. Apex has submitted a revised cost estimate or proposals to us for the 9 additional classrooms. Could increase our cost by $90,000 if all 9 classrooms require abatement. Okay, so we just wanted to, one, make you aware of that change, and tonight ask for your approval, if needed, for the additional funding up to $90,000. I will tell you the cost.
$140,000.
That brings our total cost up just over $150,000, I believe. Yes, close to it. 155 was the initial. Yes. Worst case.
That's pretty big oversight.
It is. I mean, it's a huge cost increase. But it's a lot more work, one, because it's multiple layers, not only because of the increased square footage that now has to be abated, but because now we're dealing with carpet, tile, and masking. So, and they have to dispose of that also. So that's increased the amount of air sampling that needs to be done, etc. So it is fairly significant.
I would just say I'm very pleased that staff had the foresight to take a look now, as opposed to wait until we went ahead and did it and then find out later that it was missed. So I thank you, Mr. Livesey, for doing that.
Yeah,
we don't like the increased cost, but it's a perfect timing to get it done. It's summer, nobody's in the building, it's completely cleared. The administrative staff is actually housed over here now.
Time-wise, the initial abatement project, the scope was 2 weeks, 10 working days. Adding the 9 additional classrooms will add no less than another week, so 3 weeks total.
And when will they have the test results back?
Typically on projects like this, it's a 24-hour turnaround on the lab results. That's typically what we build into these contracts. We want to know, and we want the clearance sampling performed and the results back so the containment can be torn down.
Now, so we had talked about when they removed the tile in the hallways, we were just going to leave the concrete exposed. Is that the same plan
That
for
is
all
still
the
the same
classrooms?
plan. Yeah.
So we're just going to have bare
Bare
concrete until we.
Until we get the new floor.
It'll look great.
Paint it or something. Okay.
Any other questions?
One Chairman.
that if needed, additional funding up to $90,000 be approved to increase the contract with Apex Incorporated to complete the entire abatement of the school.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion by school board. The VSBA Legislative Advocacy Conference on September 4th in Chesterfield Career and Technical Center. If anyone is interested in attending that, please let Mr. Valentine know. Is there any further business?
No, ma'am.
Meeting adjourned.